This podcast is being brought to you in part by the veteran founded Hero Soap Company located in Phoenix, Arizona. In today's environment, we must be aware of the products we apply to our skin. As a two-time cancer survivor, I cannot afford to take chances, and I use these products myself. The soaps will leave you feeling clean and refreshed. All the products made by the Hero Soap Company are made in the United States with the highest quality ingredients sourced from companies in the United States whenever possible. The products are made in small batches to ensure high quality and contain premium essential oils and fragrance. All Hero soaps are created without synthetic colorants, parabens, and sulfates that are irritating to the eyes, skin, mouth, and lungs, and are cruelty free, meaning these products are not tested on animals. Each 5-ounce bar of soap is handmade in Phoenix, Arizona, and the body wash is available in 8 ounces with such refreshing scents as the woods, tea tree, lavender, the fields, bourbon, lime, the pines, and Arctic. You will absolutely love this soap. Please also check out their gear for sale. All the products are reasonably priced. Being veteran founded, the company understands the dedication and sacrifice that each family makes to serve their country. A portion of sales is donated back to charities that are focused on helping veterans and our first responders. Over 1,200 bars have been sent to our deployed troops. Please check out their website, herosoapcompany.com, for pricing and a detailed description of all the products. When ordering, use the code RAP for a 10% discount. The company information will be listed in the podcast notes and featured on the podcast website, Facebook group, page, and the podcast Instagram. Welcome, everyone. It's a Wrap with Rap. I am your host, Ron Rappaport. Before we start, I would like to thank all of our listeners, supporters, and sponsors that have helped to make this podcast so successful. The podcast is being heard in all 50 states, all provinces of Canada, and over 60 countries around the world. The podcast has been ranked by FeedSpot as one of the top 35 overcoming adversity podcasts on the web from thousands in that category, and is ranked by traffic, social media followers, and content freshness. Please visit the podcast website, it's a wrapwithrap.com, for all the episodes and other information regarding the podcast, and to order our logo merchandise, of which a portion of sales is donated to various charities and organizations, and to sign up for our newsletter by entering your email address under the contact tab. This podcast features people who have overcome life's challenges and adversities, people who can inspire, motivate, and educate us on an assortment of topics. My guest today is King Randall from Albany, Georgia. A former United States Marine, he stands out for his success in empowering boys to be stand-up members of their community and society. King was alarmed by the high level of crime in his hometown. The young offenders were mainly black males as young as 11 years old. This inspired a spark in him to be the change the community needed, to be the role model these young men were missing in their lives. King is the founder of the X for Boys program, founded in 2019. This is the only rehabilitative program for juvenile offenders in South Georgia. In August 2022, King opened the doors to his most ambitious project, the Life Preparatory School for Boys, the first free all-boys boarding school in South Georgia. Welcome, King, to the podcast.
What's going on, Ron? How you doing?
Doing great, and we're very happy to have you. First off, I want to thank you for your service. And let's start at the beginning. Tell us briefly what growing up for you in Albany, Georgia was like, and your family dynamic.
Sure. For me, it was a bit different. Most of my friends and most of the people that I grew up with were all from single mother homes. I was raised in a full family with my mom and my stepdad, and my mom did foster care my whole life, so I had a lot of siblings. I'm my mom's only child, She's not able to have children, but I came along. But so I guess I was a miracle or what have you.
You
But
are a
uh,
miracle, man.
yeah, anywho, yeah, but my family was pretty full, had grandparents, uncles, the whole nine, even from our neighborhood, from the people that were in the neighborhood, the men that were in the neighborhood helped raise all the young boys around. My dad, well, my stepdad used to do like Bible study with us at nighttime during the week. And, he'd teach us how to work on cars and houses, and we would weld and we'd build grills and do people's roofs, run electricity, you name it. We painted cars. We did some of everything growing up, from skinning squirrels to taking care of dogs. We almost had a zoo in the backyard because we used to catch everything and we would keep it as a pet. We had pet squirrels and pet raccoons and possums and everything. We used to just keep everything we caught, usually. But that was kind of like how it was growing up for me. I mean, I had fun growing up. I learned a lot, and I'm grateful for all that stuff now. Um, but as far as people around me in Albany, if you weren't in my neighborhood, I just noticed, how many boys, didn't know the things that I knew. As I got older, I'm thinking that all boys, just knew this stuff because I was doing it.
Right.
I mean, the people I knew were doing it, and these kids can't even read. But we used to read every night at home, and we read the Bible and stuff like that. We used to always read and do like learning stuff. So it was interesting to see and just discover that so many boys don't know how to do anything, but mainly because there are no fathers located around, and most moms are working, and most moms have 3 to 4 children already.
Yeah.
And then them trying to figure out how to raise themselves because mom's at work, and then they're going to school all day, and then school ends up raising them, and we know how school is in public school system, and they're just going straight for failure if nobody intervenes. And that's why I kind of got the idea to do what I'm doing now.
So in 2019, you start the X for Boys program. I might
Hmm.
add, the only rehabilitative program for juvenile offenders in South Georgia. Tell us about that program, what you teach, and the metric results such as reading comprehension, etc., that were attained.
Sure. I started the program out of my home in 2019. It was I got tired of seeing so many boys going to jail and going right back to jail and not having any true rehab for those kids. And it got annoying to me. And I was already trying to work with some adult males in the community, but that was just kind of, it wasn't working. And once I started working with children, I started doing field trips with them. I would rent vans from this guy maybe 15 minutes away from our hometown, and I would go I would go rent the vans, and we would go buy tickets and go on these different field trips, and we would have a blast. And these children were so eager to learn and were so ready to learn things that I just figured out that's where I needed to be, because those children didn't want to be in the conditions that they were in, and that's why I kept going. Started teaching kids how to work on cars. I started at my uncle's house teaching them like how to change oil and brakes, and just working with as many kids as I could, teaching kids how to change toilets, how to grow their own food. I did a summer camp out of my house in 2019. That was an interesting thing because that's when I learned how so many boys that couldn't read, and these children are in our local school system. And I was wondering who's passing them through school. There's no way you guys are in seventh, eighth, 10th, 12th grade and you guys can't read to save your lives. And that was interesting to me, trying to figure out how they were passed through school. So that's where I was with that. And that's where I got the idea to want to open a school, because I told them that they were being failed, and I wanted to open them a school to be able to get them the correct teaching that they need, and also for them to learn those different skills and get a chance to be a boy too. You can't be a boy in public school; it's just impossible, especially in elementary school. They don't allow you to just be a boy, especially a growing boy who's active, who's energetic, etc. These children aren't allowed to do that. They aren't allowed to just get up and move and be free and talk loud and be annoying. That's what we do
Yeah.
as boys. But it's not annoying to us because we all know how we get along. But as far as having female teachers your whole life, and then the classroom being saturated with girls, it's a recipe for disaster eventually, and then you kind of suppress who that young man truly is. And they usually either end up not being themselves and turn into something that you don't want them to be. I mean, we want to make sure that boys are able to be themselves too, without having to feel like they have to be quiet and not be themselves and not express themselves, because women get extremely annoyed with us very fast, and we have 10,000 pounds of patience with one another. So imagine them being at a school with women all day
Yeah.
and girls all day, and then wondering why the behaviors for boys look like the way they do, or they getting misdiagnosed with all these diseases. No, he's just not a girl. He's not made to be sitting down and doing all that. He's not made to be sitting around being quiet and not able to move around. That's impossible for them to be successful there. So they put them on all these medicines that are akin to crack cocaine, and maybe a chemical or two away, and then now all of a sudden they're good now because they're sitting like a vegetable, and that's not how it's supposed to be for boys. And that's another reason why I did solely boys. I do believe boys and girls need to be taught separately because they learn differently and they have different things they need to learn. And there's many different studies that show that boys and girls learn better when things are separate. But of course, everything that school systems do is completely the opposite of what actually can make them successful. So every study that you see that can make something successful with children in the public school system does the opposite.
Yeah.
And to me, I believe it's all about design.
Getting back to the last part of that question, the metrics such as reading comprehension, et cetera. What was how did they improve under your tutelage?
So we started out doing book clubs with the boys right before COVID happened. And our children, we were reading with them every week, nonstop, from starting in our local library to the book club got too big to a point where I had to go use the front of this lady's shop where she used to do screen printing. And we would ask her, after she closes down, could we use her print shop to do our book club? And every week, reading with those boys and vocabulary words and spelling tests and everything. I mean, the kids were progressing so fast, and that's how we were able to get the reading comprehension rate so high, because the children were learning how to read. We were having them read every week out loud, having them write every week, and just watching what they're writing, giving them little small tests for them to take, just to see how they're progressing. And the children were just doing amazing. COVID hurt us a lot because those children were just getting in the groove of just learning. And so it kind of put a stop to a lot of that learning and reading because of the COVID happening and everything with the lockdowns and all that goodness. But we still, kicked it back up after things kind of calmed down. So, but that's kind of how we were able to get things great with that. It's just inconsistency. If you're able to be consistent, you're able to help. If you're not able to be consistent, they will remain the same. That's why I don't believe in like just going to speak at schools or doing one community event, like these little mentor events people do, with kids now. It's like, oh, we're doing a mentoring event and we're going to teach your son how to tie a tie, stuff that looks cool on camera. I'm just like, he's not going to remember how to tie a tie next week, I promise. Like, it's this, they need consistent work with them.
Right.
He's going to forget everything you said next week. Like, they need consistency on a serious level. And that's something that's going to have to happen every day, 4 or 5 times a week. Not speaking at a school, not doing one mentorship program for 2 days. That's not how things happen. It happens with a lot of background stuff where pictures aren't being taken and videos aren't being, videoed. It's stuff that's happening and that people don't see. Like going to baseball games and helping them get uniforms and giving them life lessons, and parents calling you at 2:00 in the morning. And that's the consistency that happens here in our program.
Right.
The children can't get enough of it.
It's
It's
not a PR stunt, in other words.
Exactly. Yeah. People don't understand that, and that's why you take what I do so serious. Especially when it comes to mentoring children. People see me not show up to a lot of things, and I'm just like, I don't see that as no real change. Like, and we'll have events and then put "Stop the Violence" in front of it, and I'm just like, that is not gonna stop the actual violence. I mean, we can have a baseball game and call it "Stop the Violence" baseball game, and nothing's gonna happen. That's not how we do it,
Right.
But it sounds cool and it gets money out of people's pockets. So, but that's where we are, in our communities right now, and that's why I don't show up to a lot of things, because I'm like, I do everything that I do for free. I don't charge anything for our students. I get up and raise money every day for our kids so they could continue doing everything for free, whether that be playing basketball, learning how to swim, learning how to read, learning how to do construction work, whatever. We're going to try to make sure everything remains free for our students. And that's why we raise so much money, because we believe in consistency here. And the only way we can do that is through raising money, of course, but also being here.
King, what attributes do you possess that get positive results out of your students? What do you think is the reason you're getting the positive results as opposed to like teachers in school and things like that?
I mean, again, I'll say, patience and consistency. Most teachers, especially nowadays, don't have any patience like teachers way back then did. Teachers nowadays, for one, it's work to them now. Back then, teaching was a thing that they wanted to do because they really wanted to teach. But looking at the bad behavior of the students nowadays, no assistance coming from your administration, no assistance coming from the school system itself for teachers. Teachers nowadays are, I mean, they have incentives to just pass kids through school now, and to make the test scores look cool, and to make sure kids are graduating, because the graduation rate is extremely high, but the kids don't know how to read or do math. So, and I can understand, because I go to the schools and there's so much degeneracy going on at school, from the kids having sex at school, smoking at school, fighting, gang activity. I went to the school the other day and the kids are shooting dice outside the cafeteria. Like, this is stuff that I'm talking about that nobody wants to address, but I was wrong for calling this stuff out, or talking about the degeneracy that goes on at school. It's straight degenerate behavior in our schools, and they don't have any patience or consistency to want to deal with it. And that's something that I believe I possess to be able to help children, because I actually want to help them, for one, and having the patience with them to work through their issues, through their little disrespect, through their not trusting people. I believe.
Let me take a very brief moment out to alert all our patients and caregivers out there that Rare Patient Voice, a supporter of the podcast, is paying for your input. Patients 16 years and older and caregivers, family and friends of any disability, disorder, syndrome, illness, or condition have the opportunity to express their opinions through surveys and interviews to improve medical products and services. Who knows your journey better than you? Rare Patient Voice puts you in touch with researchers who are developing products and services that can help you and others with your condition. These researchers need input of patients to develop products and services that have significant impact on patients' lives. Over the past 9 years, Rare Patient Voice has paid patients over $10 million. When you join Rare Patient Voice, you may be invited to participate in interviews, surveys, or online communities where you will share your insights. Rare Patient Voice usually has hundreds of studies running at any time, so there are many opportunities to participate. You will earn $120 per hour for participating in these studies. By making your voice heard, you are a catalyst for change. Rest assured, your input will be used to help other patients like you. There is no cost at all to you, the participant. You can get more information and sign up by clicking the link in the sponsor's notes.
That's how you're gonna change them, and that's through patience and consistency. No patience, no consistency, no change.
Well, that was going to lead into my next question. What's the state of the public school system in your community and the lower income areas in the U.S., and your thoughts about why it is like it is? But you pretty much answered it. I think it's patience, consistency. I think I remember when I went to school way back in the day. I mean, the teachers were much more patient. They were there to teach, and there was a respect factor there, and it's just missing today. Tell us the negative situations these boys come from entering your program.
I mean, most of the negative situations they have come from, I mean, of course, a lot of them are things you hear usually, such as, being abused, being starved, being molested. I mean, the whole nine. Anything you could think of bad to happen to a kid, it's happened, and we've had them in our program. And sometimes it, comes as a shocker, especially after you find out after a while, like you've had a kid for so long, and then to find out something's been happening to them for, a couple months or so and you didn't know and things. I mean, it's a lot. And it is mentally, you have to be mentally there to be able to deal with stuff like that and to want to, continue helping those children because they go through so much. I believe children are like, so strong. I believe children are stronger than adults because I've seen children go through some serious trauma and still smile and still do what they need to do and still play and still have friends. And because adults, we go through stuff and act like the world's over and we can't breathe, but children are
Yeah.
so strong, they've seen so much and keep pushing. And that's something that I love to see in children. So if you could have somebody around you, to help you through those traumatic experiences, I do believe, they can make it through it. But they go through so many different traumas. I mean, we could go all day on the things that have happened to these children and things they've saw and things that have happened to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've had a whole bunch of people that have been down that road, and they didn't have somebody like you with them at the time. And then down the road, when they get to be adults, there's all kinds of issues that they have, mental health issues. So,
Absolutely, because they
yeah,
never attacked them.
right.
And usually, if nobody was there to help you through it, as an adult, you will blame, your childhood on why, you can't be successful and stuff. And I don't believe in victimizing yourself at all. I'm just like, we got to keep moving at a point. But it's easy to say that when you had somebody to help you through it. If you did it all on your own and grew up with no help and no assistance, then of course it's going to be harder for
Yeah,
you to become an adult and help it. Like that's like guys, 35 years old still blaming their dad leaving them. I'm like, bro, look, bro, you're 35. We not okay. Dad went to the store to get milk and never came back. You're 35 now. We not using that excuse. I don't believe it's a real excuse. Just keep it moving. We don't have time for that. And I wouldn't have people in my friend group that subscribe to that nonsense anyway. But at a point, we stop blaming our childhood, for things that we're doing now. At a point, you make your own choices. But that's always important to have people to help you through these things too. So like I said, it's easy to say when you had help through it, but if you don't have any help through it, it takes a little while longer, especially in your early 20s and things like that to get through it. But after a while, your decisions, as a person end up um, shaping your life. They're about 35, 40 years old. Your decisions have made your life for you now.
yeah,
Nothing that happened when you was 12.
yeah.
Your life decisions are what your life looks like now.
Very well said. Tell us, King, about the pushback of your efforts that you have endured.
Originally, there was no pushback ish per se. I really didn't get any pushback when we first started at all. I mean, people were all for it and behind it, and everybody wanted to help. It was all up until we got invited to the White House in October 2020 when everything started to spiral down as far as like local hometown support and things like that. President Trump invited us to the White House. And then I got a whole lot of love and a whole lot of hate. People was like, "Why are you taking them to the White House?" And he just want to use them for a photo op. And why are you taking them to see this racist man and all this stuff? And just like I told them, he's a sitting president. Why would I not take my students to go to the White House? To go stay in a nice hotel, to take their first flight and go somewhere they've never been. A lot of those children hadn't even been outside of their hometown. But to get a chance to go to the White House, to stay in a super nice hotel and to see the president, I mean, you don't get to say that every day. They probably never get to say that again.
Yeah,
So why would I deprive them of that experience because you don't like who's there? Or even, for example, Governor Kemp, because he's a Republican, but he supports our program, we get pushed back for that too. And I'm just like, I don't understand, just because you don't like these people or their politics doesn't mean that I'm going to deprive my students of experiences because of what somebody's politics look like. At the end of the day, they're all birds of, feathers of the same bird. We still have to keep pushing and we have to talk across the aisle to get things done. That two parties stuff just serves as a divider for people. Because a lot of times people do have to go across the aisle to get things approved and and to work together. And I believe we could, make a lot of more change if we decide to work with people and stop worrying about if this person said this, or if you should talk to that person because they're this and that and their religion is this, and it's too much. Nobody really knows who's right at the end of the day. So,
Right.
as what you can do is live your life and be a good person and give back, and that's what I believe in. But pushback came from there. And then our local school system, we had a big falling out with them a couple years ago, because we were trying to buy a local school building that they had up for demolition, which is still sitting there to this day, dilapidating. And we just wanted to we tried to get them to donate the building, but then they wanted $500,000 for it, which I was fine with still, because we were just going to raise the money to purchase it. But at the end of the day, it didn't work out. They deemed us competition, and they tried to give me a contract to the point where if I signed it, I would never be able to open up our own school. They wanted to be in control of all of it. And that's not what I wanted to see. And I told them that. And so we backed out of the deal with them, and then it got ugly and things spiraled downward there, from a lot of newspaper articles to, radio interviews, etc. It was a lot of bad, said about me at the time in our program, but who cares? We kept moving. And yeah, pushback comes from a lot of places now, from other local nonprofits, and things like that. So pushback comes from a lot of places, or even online, because we have, like, people hate that we have white and mixed colored supporters. Black people get upset with me because, oh, you got white people that support what you're doing, you must be a white supremacist stuff. And I'm just like, why? It's a program that works with children. Anybody could get behind it. I can see if we're a political organization, but we're not. We're just
Right.
a organization that works with kids, and you guys trying to politicize it and make it about race.
You're just trying to help
Too
people.
much. Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, that's kind of like an idea of the pushback that we get,
Wow.
but we're used to it now.
Yeah.
So.
Let it roll off your back. Tell us about the mental model you use.
Oh man. I guess to explain that, it's for one, our biggest thing is keeping our bearing. And I believe that consistency is, again, what builds everything. And I always say, people ask, how we, get the boys to do certain things, it's we develop habits with them. And habits build character, and character makes the man. So we create routines with them also, because routines create habits. And once they have habits of saying yes sir and no sir, and standing up straight and walking a certain way, like we do this constantly with them. But then from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, you'll notice, how they were walking before and how they're walking now, how they were talking before and how they're talking now, how they're giving the proper greeting of the day, now versus when they weren't before, when they weren't speaking to people before, when they're speaking to people now. All those little small things, are what helps develop that mental model, because you've created a habit now of, standing up for yourself also, and speaking louder, and having some self-confidence. All that is in, routines and in that mental model. And then again, going back to keeping your bearing, a lot of men lose their lives, and not even just literally but figuratively, because they don't know how to control themselves in certain situations. They are too reactionary, and now there's a push, for men to be more emotional and act out their emotions and stuff. Well, men who can't control their emotions and act out their emotions are rapists. Men who can't control their emotions and act out their emotions are murderers. Men who can't control their emotions and act out their emotions are school shooters. So we don't want men to do that, because we think some dastardly thoughts sometimes when we are very angry, etc. But as a man, you learn how to keep your bearing and control yourself. But for those people, who are trying to get men to undo that, I'm like, I don't think that's the world you want to live in, with a man who's acting out on his emotions all the time, or being so emotional and all that crap. You're gonna lose yourself, and you're probably gonna lose your life, messing with a man who can't control his emotions. So again, that mental model that we're trying to, build is one that also can deal with adversity, because nowadays it's popular to go through stuff now and act like you breathe when something happens. I'm just like, back in the day, I sometimes I look at my life and things that have happened, and I'm just like, I'm not going through anything compared to what my great grandparents had to go through and things like that. This is nothing. And they
Yeah.
wish they had a life as easy as this. They can wake up in the morning and not wake up worrying about somebody gonna come hang their granddaddy, or or if they could go drink at this water fountain, I can wake up and do whatever I want to do every day, and I got a reason to be sad. Absolutely not. There's no reason to be sad. I have things to do, and I can be successful. So again, it's too much that people before us went through for us to be going through minor stuff like somebody saying something about us online, or calling you ugly or something like that. I'm just like, it's too much, that people have went through for us to be worried about that stuff. We have to keep moving. So we've gotten so collectively soft as men, nowadays, and we're not breeding that with our boys. No, things going to happen. People are going to talk about you, and life as a man is pain and suffering. And with pain and suffering, it builds you into a better man. So sometimes things happen to me, or bad things happen, and I just let it roll off my back, and people get upset because I'm not so angry or whatever, or think I'm not taking crap serious. I'm like, I am, but I'm just like, what can I do? Besides fix it. So there's no point in being upset about it. You keep moving. Being upset and acting out on those emotions is what's going to hurt you. So you just let that stuff roll off your back, and you learn your lessons, and you keep moving. But the moment you allow those emotions to overtake your thoughts and overtake your actions, is the day you probably going to lose your life or lose something important to you. That's why I believe in remaining stoic, as they say.
What are some of the frustrations you face doing your job with the boys?
Sometimes disobedient moms. We do a lot trying to get the boys out of their old routines and habits. And for the most part, most of our moms, they listen and things like that. But sometimes we have moms who, don't want to take heed to some of the disciplinary things we're trying to tell them to do at home, or to keep those habits up at home. Like for the summer, I could guarantee that most of the boys weren't doing some of the routines that we've had them do all year. So I know as soon as they get back, we're going to have to undo some of the stuff they were allowed to do during the summer, like not getting up on time and not exercising. I already saw one of our boys, he's gaining that weight back again. I'm just like, just sitting at home playing video games and eating fat snacks and, not getting outside. So we're going to fix that as soon as he gets back, and just little small stuff, but they've had 10 months of habit building, so some of the things they can't get away from, like the way they speak and the way they walk and things like that, they can't get away from that. But as the years go by, as they keep staying in school, they're going to spend so much time with us that they'll eventually turn out to be, great men. But usually it's just that. I would definitely say that. Other frustrations, quote unquote, aren't really enough for me to call it something that would hinder anything that we're doing. It's just little stuff that I could fix on my own. But other than that, I'll definitely say sometimes moms can be a bit disobedient in what we're trying to do with their sons. I'm just like, if you're going to send your son to us, we need you to trust, what we're doing with them.
Right.
And most of them do, but we'll have a few here and there that give us a little pushback. But eventually, it turns out for the better. So,
well, that's good. What is the timeline it takes to change or rehab a boy, and are there cases that cannot be changed?
Yeah, the reason I work with boys ages 11 to 17, especially at 11, is because 11 years old, like when you're a sixth grader, that's that age where you first get to middle school, you're finally out of school uniform and finally out of, being babied all the way through. Middle school is a bit different. And that's when you start to learn yourself and discover yourself and develop your habits you're probably going to have as an adult. Who you were in middle school, my uncle always says, who you were in middle school is who you are now. If you were a dweeb in middle school, you're a dweeb as an adult. He says that all the time. He's like, you're a dork in middle school, you're a dork now. If you were a jock in middle school, you're a jock now. Like he says that, but it's so true, because I am still who I was in middle school to a point, like not like 100%, but to a point, you're still that person because you developed mainly who you were going to be in middle school, and whoever had control over what you were learning and who was mentoring you, etc., in middle school, all the way up until maybe ninth grade, that's ultimately who you are. And that's who you're going to be for a long time if you don't have any other intervention. And most kids don't have any other intervention. So I believe, working with
the podcast is so happy and proud to have Blue Sky CBD as one of our sponsors and supporters. At Blue Sky CBD, they know that the highest quality CBD starts from the seed. Blue Sky partners with sustainable, responsible farms for superior hemp plants to extract their CBD and other healthful phytonutrients. Each of Blue Sky's products contain high concentrations of CBD for maximum impact, and Blue Sky offers some of the lowest cost per milligram CBD on the market. All Blue Sky's products are THC free and are tested by a third party laboratory for potency and purity. All this has made Blue Sky one of the only brands trusted by healthcare professionals across the United States. As the demand for CBD and its therapeutic potential have grown rapidly worldwide, it's difficult to know which products you can trust. At Blue Sky CBD, they don't just sell their products, they use their products. Blue Sky CBD proudly shares testimonials of their loved ones who use these products. Blue Sky CBD guarantees the potency and purity of each and every product they sell. Blue Sky tests their products 3 times. First, the plant is tested, next, the isolate, and last, the final product to ensure each product batch meets Blue Sky's high standards. A copy of the certificate of analysis is linked below each product description online. The Blue Sky CBD website contains client testimonials, including a case study for each testimonial from people just like you regarding people dealing with severe anxiety and insomnia, high blood pressure, pain management, headache, rheumatoid arthritis and spondylitis, and endocrine balance. Blue Sky even makes the product Pet Love for our canine and feline family members. There is some confusion between medical marijuana, CBDs that contain THC, and the THC-free hemp CBDs within states. Blue Sky CBD uses CBD derived from hemp that is THC-free, which is drug-free and can be sold everywhere legally. Blue Sky CBD wants you to feel confident with your purchase and offers you excellent customer service. If you are not satisfied with their products, you may request a refund of the full purchase price within 30 days of the product received date. When ordering, please use the podcast link to receive 20% off your initial purchase. The link and website information will be listed in the podcast notes.
Our children right now, they're 11, 12 years old right now. They're developing such great habits right now. It takes, I will say, for older children, it takes longer because as you get older, the more your routines and habits stick in your head and stick in your brain, and the ways you think and the things you do, they're starting to stick now. So I say, as they're starting to stick, it takes longer to undo those things. You got to think I have to undo 17 years of what they've been doing so long. I have to undo 16 years of what they've been doing. So I'll say it's easier. I'll say 11-year-old, maybe a year, 2 at best. But, 16, 17-year-olds, 11, 12 graders, if they aren't already on a path to trying to change themselves, and if they don't even want to try, those are the cases that I think, are just unsolvable. I've only had a few where I'm just like, life is going to have to teach you. And I've had, some young men that I felt like, okay, well, just life's going to have to teach you because you don't want to hear me. And I've had a few of them come back and be like, Mr. King, I'm sorry, for all that trouble I gave you, but this is exactly what you said.
Yeah.
And life had to hit him in the face a couple of times. Life's going to punch you in the face if you don't want to hear any teaching. And that's what happens usually. But you do get some cases that are, I guess, unsolvable. But for the most part, any 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old is easy work. That's a consistency for me. So,
Okay. Tell us the feedback that you have received from the parents of these boys and the feedback from the community at large.
the parents, I mean, they're wholly grateful. We've posted some videos of some of the parents, talking about what the program has done, and most of the parents are grateful. Sometimes parents, they'll come bring their kid for a couple months, and we'll work with them for a couple months, and then they disappear. Because I guess they've gotten enough, of what they think he needs and things like that, which is fine with me. And then they always come back maybe a couple months later or a year later, like, hey, he's back into this. Are you still doing the program? I guess I'm still in the program. This is why I tell you, don't take them out once they start. Do not take them out because they need to continue doing it. Just because they got good for a month or two, doesn't mean everything's better now.
Right.
But yeah, most parents, we have awesome reviews. I mean, we weren't able to change every kid, and every parent doesn't agree with what we do. Of course, we've had bad reviews too. We aren't perfect here. But for the most part, all parents love what we do and, support what we do, even if their children are older or have grown out of the program. We still have parents that are like, we absolutely adore, what's happening because they saw the change in their son. And that's something that's important to me.
What about the feedback from the community at large?
From people on the outside looking in, I mean, they absolutely love it. because they've never seen it before, especially on the scale that we do it for free. We have the all boys boarding school that's free of charge, and I don't know where you're gonna find that, honestly. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I've ever seen it, a free boarding school that isn't government funded, that's funded completely by the community. I would actually love to see another one, but the community loves what we do because also they get to see, where their donations and funding is going. One thing we do is, we remain transparent with everything that we do with our funds, and people get to see us painting. People get to see us, buying stuff. I go post on social media when we go into Home Depot, when we're going to, here and there buying paint. Even our Amazon wish list has things that we need, and people love to give and love to see what we're doing because we're always constantly showing what's happening. So that's some good community feedback that we get. Or even sometimes when detractors try and say things about me, we have an army of people that'll go and defend us most times. So that's why I don't usually have to say anything anymore. But we definitely get a lot of positive feedback from the community more than negative.
Great. Now, last August, as you alluded to, you opened the doors to the Life Preparatory School for Boys, the first free all-boys boarding school in South Georgia. The school's motto is "Let us make man." First, share with us the spark that inspired you to start this project, and tell us how the school came to be, the obstacles you had to overcome opening it, and how is it funded?
Sure. So yeah, I made mention earlier of the issues we had with our local school system, and I also talked about how many of the children that I discovered couldn't read, and that's where I got the idea to want to open a school. So we did a lot of building shopping for quite some time, actually, trying to find the right school building and the right place to host the Life Preparatory School for Boys. And it was a lot of trial and error there, a lot of, losing buildings and not being able to fundraise all the money. There's a lot happening while we were trying to purchase our school. And a lot of obstacles we faced were mainly just in trying to fundraise at first. And then again, mentioning what happened with the school system, because they pushed us back like 6 to 8 months because we were in negotiations with them forever, trying to buy that building. And it was mainly, we weren't even really in negotiations. We were just waiting on them to finally respond to something that we were saying, or finally waiting for them to respond to an email or respond to a contract or whatever. It was just a lot with them, to the point where I finally got fed up with them, especially after they, compared us and them to McDonald's and Burger King. That was a lot for us. And just COVID happening, and then all the mouth that I got from the community, the negative attention that happened after the school system deal, because obviously I don't control the media. The powers that be do. So once they wrote that bad article about me, I mean, people were all in we had this little anonymous squawk box that people can write in on our newspaper, and they were just saying like so many vile things about me. And people were making Facebook posts, and people were making Facebook videos and podcasts, and talking about my personal life and everything. It was a lot, and it got really, really ugly. But I pushed past that. Whatever, you let it roll off your back. It did get to me for a little bit, but we keep moving. We have things to do still. We have children to save, and we can't be worried about that. And I continued moving, and we eventually, after so long, finally got to the school building that we have now. It's 41,000 square feet, 25 classrooms, cafeteria, basketball gym, the whole nine. We even have a church sanctuary there. So everything, we found in our building, we were able to raise the money for it, and we found everything there. And God makes everything happen for a reason. And there was a reason we didn't get that school system building. There's a reason we got the building that we have now. So those were some of the obstacles. And even while schools open, there's still obstacles. Maybe October, November, they called the marshals on our school, and they said they got a call about the school, even though I don't know who would call aside from the powers that be. And they came with like 15 inspectors to the school in the middle of the school day, and the next day they came back and told us to leave because some of safety concerns or whatever. And the building is old, and so they were all in the roof and all in the attics and everything, like looking for any single thing. And they took pictures of so many things, like a 128-page report of things that needs to be done before we could get
Wow.
into the school. And I could go to your local restaurant and show you violations there. So of course, with a 41,000 square foot building, all
Yeah.
the things that they found, we're looking at like $1 million, $2 million worth of stuff to try and hold us back. But I'm a firm believer, in God, and things will happen as they should. So we ended up using our office buildings. We do have 3 office buildings, and we do school there. And the children go to our boarding house that we have here also. So we do have a boarding house too, and our children stay at our boarding house. And X Insurance last year actually paid for the renovations for our boarding home. So children have a home to go to, and after they leave there in the morning times, we take them to the office to do school every day. So, and right now we're in the process of getting our office renovated in the front to make it more of classroomy. So that's what we're working on now. But
So,
there are many obstacles.
your school is certified, in other words, then.
Yes, we utilize, our school is effectively a homeschool boarding program. Technically, we utilize a online curriculum from Georgia Cyber Academy. This is an online accredited homeschool program, and so we utilize them for the boys to maintain their grades and things like that until our school attains its own accreditation.
Okay.
We utilize an online accredited program for our students. So as they pass through school, they're still, in their right grades and have the right credits and things like that.
Great. Now, tell me about a little, briefly, how you recruit staff, and you have to train the staff to your ideals, to teach, your ideals.
I try to keep everything in-house for the most part. So, like for example, my brother, he is the head junior instructor, but he's about to turn 18 now. But he grew up through the program also. He was there when the program began, and he knows how everything goes. Or even one of my other instructors that I had, he was in the program 2-3 years, and he's progressed to a point where he already knows how things go versus me having to teach somebody new something. And I tried to hire staff outside, when we first, start the school, and it just doesn't work out because you can't get people to see like the vision, that you have who weren't there when it started, or people who come in and see something that's still building and don't take it serious as the people who worked on it take it serious. So you can get people and hire them and pay them and tell them what to do, but they don't possess that fire for it because they don't have any real hands in it. So I'd rather our students, who get older, come and teach and instruct at our school, because they already know how things go, and I could just simply train them on things to do, what not to do, etc. But they already know the rules. They already know how things go. They already know how to, make me happy for the most part,
Okay.
with what I want to see with the boys.
Yeah.
So for the most part, our children who are becoming seniors and stuff now, they've already asked, can we come back and be instructors? I'm like, absolutely, you can come back and be an instructor at the school, because they now want to show the other children, what they've learned, and now,
Yeah.
like almost be in my shoes to see what it's like to train boys. And that they're excited to do that. So our staff has been pretty small. We started out with a bigger staff, but I just kind of let it dwindle down a bit because it's just hard with people who haven't saw the vision all the way through. Everybody that works on staff right now, from the head mistress to myself to my other instructors, like they have saw the program grow. We've all grew together with it, so we all have a heart in it. Like even our head mistress, like she would never quit. She can't quit. Even if I wanted to fire her, she wouldn't go because she's got so much love and heart for this,
Yeah.
organization. Like somebody would have to die for her to leave,
She's
and
invested
because
in it.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's invested in it. She loves it that much,
Yeah.
So and that's where we all are. And she'll go above and beyond. And we've all, sometimes went without pay, sometimes, etc. You can't get anybody to do that, who's just coming off the street, who put
Right.
in a resume.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets hard, and just like, hey, I can at least make sure you got food, and I can make sure you got gas in your car, but I'm not able to afford everybody's checks right now,
Right.
stand by, and everybody's just like, okay, we trust you. But that's the type of family, you have to have with what we're building.
What a
And
great
that's going to
bond you
only
have.
come. Yeah, I'll say, and we're gonna have to have bonds and things like that, and that's just hard to get with some people who are just coming off the street. So only probably when we become a super ginormous, program is when we'll, of course, get people and have full trainings and things like that. But people don't take you serious when you're building and they haven't been a part of the building process, because we're still building and still growing. And so if it isn't some magnificent thing that they're seeing, they don't take it serious. And that's, being some of the kind of hardship with having staff, because I've been wanting to hire more people. I'm just like, I don't really want to hire anybody though. So I'm like, I'll just wait till they turn 18 and we'll figure it out. So
Makes
that's where we
sense.
are.
Makes sense. I got a million other questions, but I know we're short on time. Could your prep school be virtual to reach kids in outlying areas and distant places? Have you ever thought about that?
Yes, I've had many people ask about doing virtual after school and virtual teaching with students, and I've been thinking about doing it. I actually do have this board I'm about to order for our school, where it does like big video chats, and you could actually see what I'm writing on the board and things like that. So I could have my students who are actually in after school in person, and then I could have my students who are at after school. They could be all over the country and have
Yeah.
them online. I would probably make our students that are online pay per se, maybe like $10 or something like that, nothing crazy. But all of our in-person stuff, of course, is free. But for our online students, just to have some commitment there, sometimes you have to make people, and it's not even just to take the money or anything, it's to build a commitment there, because we're also thinking about maybe charging even $5 for membership for our program, because sometimes the parents will hurt the boys by not bringing them when they want to come and stuff, because they don't have any financial investment in it or whatever. They don't care to miss something or miss a field trip or not call us and tell us when you're not coming to something, or we've already bought vans. I mean, we've already rented vans and got uniforms, and then to find out you're not showing up and things like that. So we're only probably thinking about that just to have them with some type of commitment to the program, not to the point where we want to charge, but just to make sure that they have commitment there. Because that's what happens. They don't have any financial commitment or incentive to make sure the kid goes on a field trip. So if I say, hey, the field trip is $5 or $10, you got to go on the field trip because I paid $10. So we're going.
Yeah.
Type stuff,
Yeah.
versus where it's free. We don't have. Well, I don't feel like waking up in the morning. We just tell them we're not going. I'm just like, but we've already paid for tickets, man. We already got T-shirts, man. Like, this is stuff we go through. So thinking about doing a little small stuff like that, but definitely virtual. I've been thinking about implementing that for after school, and I've been planning to order this big board that I plan on having to come to the office soon, that we could be able to do that with children from across the country, and so children can interact with those children, or our children here.
That sounds great. How can people contact you, King?
You can reach out to me on the website. It has my email there, or you can email me there. And then all of our social media accounts are at New Emerging King and at the X for Boys. Our website is thexforboys.org. That's THEXFORBOYS.org. You can reach me there, see videos, pictures, photos, find us on social media, send us an email, watch videos. You name it, is there on the website. And if you want to give, if you want to send letters, if you want to send the boys any knickknacks or whatever, our address is there for people to send packages. We have our Amazon wish list for people who want to actually send items. And again, like I said, for those who don't want to give any monetary funds, or can't, please share it out to your friends and family. And also, like I said, we have people send the boys letters all the time. And just encourage them, when they're going through things, and we appreciate that so much. So any way that you wish to contribute, is on that website.
And I might add that my logo merchandise, we haven't set a date for it yet, but we'll do it for a month or two, and periodically, where half the sales will be going to your organization as well. What words of advice do you have for those kids out there that don't know their purpose?
I always say, for people who don't know their purpose, find your work ethic first. People are so busy trying to figure out what it is that they want to do or what they're here to do, and don't have any work ethic. How you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're flipping burgers right now, give 110%, because you never know who's watching you. And that's why it's important, to give 110%, because you never know who's watching, and God blesses those who work. God helps those who help themselves. And I believe that wholeheartedly. So if you're putting in work with anything, you'll end up finding your purpose. Because I don't believe God will give you a purpose that you're here for, and you don't even want to work. So why would I gift you with finding your purpose and you're not going to work for it, or you're not going to put in any work for it? That's just, a waste. So I always say find your work ethic first. Give 110% to everything that you're doing already. And if you're not doing anything, do something, especially to boys. You should be working out at least. I always say that to every boy. I don't care how old you are. You should be doing something, whether you outside running, doing push-ups every night, whatever. That's going to keep your mental, model in place. There's been plenty of times where I felt terrible and I just go to the gym, especially when I don't feel like it, and I feel a whole lot better when I leave. So just small stuff like that, keeping your mental in check, finding friends, who are either trying to go where you want to go, or are already where you want to go and you want to elevate yourself, but you don't want to be in a friend group where everybody are bums. You don't want to be in a bum friend group. I don't care how long you guys have been friends. If they are doing degenerate activities and they are bums, you need to excuse yourself if you want to grow. And as you grow, you're going to lose a lot of people, to the point where I only have one best friend. We've been best friends for about 8-9 years now, but that's because we're always growing. We believe in some of the same things. We have the same mental model, and we don't allow a lot to, defeat us mentally. We keep moving, and we have each other for that. But find friends, and clean your friend circles up. And not last but not least, figure out how to, protect and provide for the people that you care about. As a man, one of the most fulfilling things that's going to make you feel like a man is being able to take care of people you love. If you're not able to take care of the people you love, you're not going to feel happy with yourself. And that's whether that be your mom, whether that be your sister, or if you're an adult, whether that be your girlfriend or your wife. You know how you feel when you're not able to do for them. So you always want to make sure you're at a point where you're always able to do for them, provide and protect. You should always be doing some type of training, whether that be jiu-jitsu, martial arts, or whatever, learning how to use a firearm. All this stuff is important because you never know when something happens where you're going to need to defend the people that you love, because we can always provide for them. Is, can you protect them? Do they believe, you can protect them for real? If something happens or somebody breaks in the house, are you going to tell her to go look, or are you going to tell her to sit down and you go handle business? These are things that are important and that nobody thinks about. Most men were always thinking about worst case scenario, especially me. So it's important that you think about all these things I just mentioned, as a growing boy or as an adult. I mean, how can you become better? There's no reason to be overweight. There's no reason to be, waiting for something to come to you. You have to go make it happen. And for those of you who says your life is hard, good. That's how you become better. Every time something bad happens, good. That's how you grow. Every time something terrible happens, great. You're a man. Life is pain and suffering. Once you understand that, you become great.
Awesome advice. Really awesome advice. I want to thank you so much, King, for being on the podcast. You're truly a godsend to your community. And I wish you good fortune going forward with your work and helping
Thank you. I appreciate
these young men navigate through the journey of life. Comments and suggestions for the podcast, you can email me at itsarapwithrap@gmail.com. Our Facebook group is It's a Rap with Rap. Instagram, It's a Rap with Rap podcast. We are on Twitter at Rapper, WRAPPER 130. Our website is itsarapwithrap.com. All the episodes are on there, as well as other information related to the podcast. All the episodes are on YouTube. It's a Rap with Rap, the podcast uncut. I want to thank everyone for listening. Please stay safe out there. And for now, it's a wrap.